Oh, and that's a brilliant effort, and they've turned it right around. In the space of a few minutes, Saudi Arabia grab control of the game.
Welcome to episode 2 of Dawri, the Saudi football podcast by Arab News. It's been a momentous first week of the season on the pitch. And can I say before we get in, AK, it's been momentous for us as well. So thank you to everyone for the support. Now, over 500,000 views on social media. Absolutely fantastic. So if you do want to give us a follow, get on Twitter. We're on at Arab News Sport. So thank you for the support and long may it continue. Anyway, I digress. It has been a momentous first week of the season with the first trophy of the campaign already handed out, some stunning results in the SPL, and one of the biggest transfers in the history of the game. As always with me, it's my old mucker and Arab News sport editor, Ali Khaled. Ali, again, so much happening, so much to pack in.
Hi, Peter. Good to be back after that brilliant first pod we did last week. As you mentioned, so much good feedback from fans and, so many eyes on it. We really appreciate everyone's follows, everyone's retweets, everyone's downloads. Thank you so much to all our listeners. It has been an incredible first week, actually straight up on the pitch, Peter. I mean, there was, as you mentioned, the first trophy of the season has been handed out, the King Salman Cup, which was won by Al-Nassr and Cristiano, of course. But even that, was overshadowed by some of the SPL results, in the first week. Like a lot of, these signings that have come from Europe have, hit the ground running, really, and didn't really take much time to acclimatize to the weather, to training conditions. I know it's difficult, but, so many of them have hit the ground running. We'll get into it in a bit. And all of that, even that was overshadowed by the signing of Neymar to, joining Al-Hilal, of course, from PSG. Absolutely incredible, We didn't think at any point, despite all the recent influx, we didn't think one individual transfer could really, emulate the impact of Cristiano Ronaldo joining. That was always going to be the one, it changed everything. It changed perception, but this is as big, I think. Neymar joining Al-Hilal from PSG is as big as Ronaldo joining Al-Nassr at the end of last year. It's been absolutely incredible start to the season. And one comment I'd like to say is about the atmosphere and the fans across the stadiums in Saudi Arabia. I know, there are cynics out there who question some of the moves and all that. I think still a lot of the players, a lot of the coaches have been taken aback by the atmospheres, by the crowds that have shown up to the matches, and which has been going on for years, really. There's an incredible, football culture, fan culture in Saudi Arabia, which many around the world didn't know about, but they certainly know about it now. I think a lot of the fans abroad watching, as we already mentioned, over 130 countries streaming now the Saudi League. A lot of the fans would have been really surprised, pleasantly surprised by the fan culture and the atmospheres at these grounds. The perception of Saudi football is changing.
Well, Neymar heard about Dawri, the podcast, and he just had to chance his arm to come over and see what it was all about. Don't say we're leaders for nothing, Ali. Listen, all joking aside, speaking of Ronaldo and Al-Nassr, they are the new champions of the King Salman Cup. They beat Al-Hilal in Saturday's final. Ronaldo's first trophy in Saudi, and he played a starring role.
Absolutely, mate. He was... it was a great match. I mean, again, the atmosphere was great before the match, and the fact that the King Salman Cup is a pre-season trophy, but it was massive, and the fact that it was played on Saturday, right in the middle of first match day of the Saudi Pro League, shows its importance and what it means to the fans and to the clubs there. Al-Hilal took an early lead, and I think many of us expected them to go on and win the trophy. I think they had quite a few chances as well, but it had to be Ronaldo, really. I mean, he scored the equalizer with 15 minutes left. He scored. I mean, and Al-Nassr actually, had a sending off as well. But he scored the equalizer with a tap in, you could see how much it meant to him. He was really fired up for this match, and then he scored the winning goal 8 minutes into extra time. And again, you could see at the end just what it meant to Al-Nassr to beat Al-Hilal, what it meant for Ronaldo to get his first trophy. And look, we've been saying it since he joined. You have to give credit to the man. He has embraced his new project, if you want, his new career, his new life in Saudi Arabia. He's constantly talked up the league, saying it will be one of the top 5 leagues in the world within years and all that. And he's talked the talk. Ali. He set the trend, and he's talked the talk, but he's walked the walk as well. And he genuinely looks like he's enjoying his football. Says he doesn't want to go back to Europe, and look, he said it, and he's doing it out on the pitch. And as you said, his first trophy in the first week of the season.
As we move on to the Saudi League action, though, just coming back to Al-Nassr, that final had consequences for them, didn't it?
Yes. There was, wouldn't call it a controversy, but I think there was a lot of comments about Al-Nassr playing their first league game just like 48 hours after they had won the King Salman Cup. It proved perhaps a little too soon. They lost 2-1 away to Ettifaq, to Steven Gerrard's team. They actually took the lead. Sadio Mane scored, I think, after 4 or 5 minutes. Great start for them. And again, probably would have expected them to go on and win it. But Ettifaq players, were superb in the second half, really put on a great performance. Scored 2 early goals in the second half, and I think the 47th and 53rd minute. The winner coming from another new signing, Moussa Dembele. Obviously, he's the Ettifaq's big signing alongside Jordan Henderson, who looked very tired at certain points, ran his socks off, as you would expect from Jordan Henderson. Really put in a massive performance, but you could see that obviously the weather affected him. And Steven Gerrard did say that in the press conference afterwards. He called Henderson a leader and a coach on the pitch. He was very pleased with him. And he said, there's more to come from him once he gets fitter as well, So, yeah, it was a fantastic result for Ettifaq. Really brilliant for Steven Gerrard to start off with a win, but very disappointing for Al-Nassr. Again, just the caveat of that they had played in a cup final 48 hours earlier.
Listen, staying on that Steven Gerrard note, it was a weekend for ex-Liverpool players, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. The first game of the season was, we saw Al-Ahli, recently promoted Al-Ahli play against Al-Hazm, who had also come up from the second tier this summer, or last season, I should say. And Al-Ahli won 3-1. Roberto Firmino scoring a hat-trick. Again, he looked like he was really enjoying himself. Fantastic atmosphere. At the end of the match, the Al-Ahli players, of course, were saluting their fans, and it just, looked fantastic from start to finish.
The sheer delight on Firmino's face, Ali.
It was. It was just
up for that game.
He was so up for it. He looked genuinely pleased, as did his teammates. I think all around, start off the season with that match. That was the first match of the season on Friday, and it was what a fantastic way for it. And again, I go back to the point. I think a lot of people watching, for the first time, it was a great introduction for them. Great introduction for them.
Absolutely brilliant. That Firmino, he looked like he was enjoying it, but it was such a great game for him.
Yeah, sticking to what you were saying about Liverpool players, another Liverpool player had a great start. It's Fabinho for champions Al-Ittihad. They beat Al-Rad 3-0. An expected result. Fabinho settled in really well, and but it was great to see. It was nice to mention some of the older foreign players who have been around in Saudi and the region for a while. Abdulrazak Hamdallah, the Moroccan, scored, as did Igor Coronado, the brilliant midfielder. He scored twice. So it's not only about the new players. Some of the old players, stepping up when they needed to.
And how important is that whilst this influx carries on, Ali, that the household names are still there for the fans?
Absolutely. We shouldn't forget about the players who, have been in the Saudi League, and Coronado also played in the UAE League before joining Etihad. Some of these players have been around for quite a while, and really put in the years and the matches for Saudi clubs. And I think they're very popular with the fans. Some of them are still around as well. And, and not only just the foreign players as well, the Saudi players themselves, should not be forgotten in all this excitement of foreign players joining. People like, Salam Dawri, of course, at Al-Hilal. He looked quite sharp as well in the early stages of the season. So we'll be keeping an eye on the Saudi players as well as some of the old players as well.
Lots of eyes needed.
Yeah.
Lots of eyes needed. So much going on. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. Valley, listen, I'm delighted to be welcomed back on the show by Matt Monaghan. Matt, first of all, how are you?
I'm great. It's just such an exciting time, isn't it, in the region for football? We've never seen anything like this. Maybe even no league has ever seen anything like this going on. So it's heady times, isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely fantastic. So I've got to ask you, though, I mean, there's so much, and I was just saying to Ali prior to you joining us, what have you made of this first week? There's so much to dissect.
I think it's really delivered on the drama, hasn't it? We've seen obviously all the transfer rumours, the excitement spread from the Middle East to across the world, and I feel that there would have been so many eyes looking at Saudi Arabian football, and I think they've been richly rewarded. Obviously, the perfect start, the script, they couldn't have written the script any better with Firmino doing a hat-trick in the first game of this new era. And then, I mean, I guess like Ettifaq upsetting Al-Nassr. I know it was a weakened Al-Nassr, but, we saw Gerrard, Henderson, Jack Hendry on the pitch with Sadio Mane. And then you had good results as well, like Riyadh getting off the mark with a goal and a win straight away. So I think it's been great. And, by and large, the stands, we've seen plenty of people in the stands, loads of excitement. So I think it's richly delivered on the promise of the summer.
Matt, I mean, you mentioned there, obviously, the great start by Al-Ahli. Promoted, obviously one of the Saudi's great clubs promoted, and they beat like a fellow promoted side. So that was a great start, and they made their mark. Any other particular highlights? I mean, obviously, Malcolm's hat-trick is up there, but what else caught your eye?
In that game as well, a player I'm such a huge fan of, Saad Bagir, someone I guess, yes, my personal highlights so far, I'd go back to the Al-Hilal game. It was, of course, a loss for Abha, but Saad Bagir's goal was absolutely outstanding and showed how much talent there is in this division. Bagir, who's been here for a few years now, and then can score screamers like that. He does it all the time as people have been watching him for the last few years. And I guess new audiences will be getting to know these players as well. I've already briefly touched on it, but a player I'm also a huge fan of, Knowledge Masona, getting Riyadh off the mark. I think that's a great moment there, potentially a really interesting club going forward. And then obviously, I think the Gerrard experiment as well, a win against obviously a weakened Al-Nassr, but I think that's great for the league that a name like Gerrard can get a winning start.
Matt, also, I mean, it's a good point you touched on there. It's not just the new foreign players. Obviously, a lot of foreign players have been in Saudi for a long time. And of course, there's the local talent, the local and Arab Middle Eastern talent that have been playing in Saudi Arabia for a long time. Yeah,
so I think, if you looked at the issue of signing all these foreign players, which is great and all, is that maybe it restricts chances elsewhere. But we saw Al Hamdan start for Al Hilal. That's good. How long that will last for with Mitrovic rumoured to be signing soon, we don't know. Then, like you say, players like Bagir can also continue to show their worth in the division as well, which is great to see. And then obviously, I guess he's a new player, but Riyad Mahrez obviously getting a goal contribution in his first game for Al-Ahli as well. He could be one of the standout stars, isn't he? That's what he's been brought in to do. He's another one who can ignite interest in Saudi football.
Fascinating stuff. And throw it to the mix, and Alan St. Maximin, who's loving life there, actually had a message from Alan saying how great it was. The fans had taken straight to him. So he's all over that. Throw his shirt.
We'll have to get him on the show.
We will definitely. And as Matt says, those crowds, Ali, they've got something to celebrate. But the big news, and I want to come back to Matt with it, is just how can we sum it up the enormity of Neymar now gracing our pitches in the kingdom? Fantastic.
It's one of those, wasn't it? I think they had a dabble at him at the start of the summer. It didn't come off. I think momentum has built to such a degree that they've managed to pull off the deal now. And what can I say is that I think Brazil are the most magical nation in world football, and he's the most magical player, and he's going to be playing hopefully every week in Saudi. Although he's reaching fitness record, maybe put some doubt behind that. But I think this division can suit him. I really do. I think it's obviously it's 34 games. It's maybe not as high intensity as other competitions. You look at the style of football, and I think we'll really see the best of him.
Because Matt, it has been a few years since we've seen the best of him. Maybe this is the fresh start that he needs. As you say, he's had a lot of injuries in the last 4 or 5 years, and the intensity of playing the Champions League and obviously in the French league, consistently, it hasn't helped. He's spent a lot of time on the sidelines. This could be the fresh start that he actually needs, as you say.
And it's such a huge challenge, isn't it? It's something to really, if he wants to commit to it, it's enormous, the potential for what he can achieve, what Saudi Arabian football achieve, what Al-Hilal can achieve as well together. And the thing as well, there's no bigger entertainer in world football than Neymar. And the Saudi Pro League mission now is to just create as much buzz, as much excitement as possible. And once you've got, I can't think of anyone else who can deliver that more than Neymar. I think the guy is just so wonderful when he's fit, when he's playing, and I think he's going to really wow. It's just fireworks every time he plays.
So we hope so. Sorry to interrupt, Peter. I was just going to say, Cristiano Ronaldo really set the tone with his move. Obviously, in terms of all the other players following, but also in the way that he's conducted himself. He's really embraced the Saudi League. He's really embraced his lifestyle, the culture. People were questioning how long he'll stay and all that. And he's talked the talk, and he's walked the walk. He's still there, performing, and seems to be enjoying himself. He really has praised the league on many occasions, and you would hope that all these new players, including Neymar, of course, follow his lead and really absolutely embrace what this has got to offer.
I think it's a really smart deal that both Neymar and Al-Hilal and the PIF as well, I would imagine, have agreed to with the 2-year contract. It means he can come to Saudi Arabia, play regular football, enjoy himself, become part of this, exciting process. And then if he wants to, step things up again before the World Cup, he can do this. There's an element of freedom there. And I think that will also add to him committing fully to this project, hopefully. And I can't wait to see how it works out. I'm such a huge fan of it.
Great stuff. Listen, Ali, I've got a question for you before I round up with Matt. And it's something that came to light with all the excitement. And of course, we're talking about the fans. We're talking about the new players. But I managed to speak and grab a moment with the current goalkeeper playing his trade in there, Vladimir Stojkovic. And he said for the players that are there, as well, for them now, they from last season, obviously you had Ronaldo, but it's a different ball game for the current crop of players who've been plying their trade for the last few seasons. And it's a joy for them to be pitting their skills against some of the top players globally.
I think pitting their skills, absolutely. And, for some of the younger players, also gaining experience, playing alongside higher level opposition. But also, as you mentioned, for the players who are already there, they're getting exposure that they weren't getting before. The Saudi League was not getting anywhere near this level of attention. And now it is. So, it's great for their careers as well. So for many players, sure, there's going to be more competition for places. Maybe certain young players will have to bide their time, wait for their chances and all that. But there's a lot of positives there as well. As you say, more experience playing against higher opposition and, getting to be seen by the rest of the world.
And probably more practice for Vladimir being a goalkeeper, I would imagine, given the talent that's going to be on show for him. So we wish him well, of course, at the weekend. Speaking of the weekend, gents, I love to put you both on the spot. So we'll come to you first, Matt. Is there anything that you think, we should be looking ahead to that could possibly play out this weekend?
So, the things that really stand out for me this weekend is hopefully we'll be seeing a full-strength Al-Nassr for the first time. Which should be absolutely incredible. Brozovic, Ronaldo, Mane, and all the rest clicking together. It's potentially a tough game against Al Tawan, who finished so well last season. An Al Tawan team have lost their best player in Kaku, though. So I think we could see Al-Nassr really put on a show there. And also, for me, the highlight of last season of any football, the best atmosphere I saw in any league last season was when Al-Ittihad played their first home game after they won I think it was the Super Cup. And so imagine what that's going to be like now. It's going to be multiplied several times over when they play their first home game of the season as league champions after such a long wait as well. So I think the Benzema, Conte, all the excitement of being league champions again. I think that game is going to be absolutely incredible against Altay on Saturday. I can't wait to see that.
You and me both. Brilliant, as always. Join us again soon, the one and only Matt Monaghan. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. And I think it's such a great thing you're doing with this podcast, and long may it continue.
Ali, we have got to talk about Hilal, recovered from the final loss, and now Neymar joining.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they had an extra day or extra couple of days really before they played, compared to Al-Nassr, who played 48 hours after the cup final. But yeah, Al-Hilal recovered well. They beat Abha 3-1 away from home. And again, one of the new signings, Malcolm, the Brazilian striker Malcolm, scored a hat-trick. So I think, we spoke last week about how they'll be very determined to retain their title. Losing out on the Saudi League, losing out on the Champions League would not have gone down well with Hilal. So a great start for the season for them. Yes, they lost the cup final, but I think, their focus will be, massively on the SPL. So that was, you would have thought that was a great start for their season. And of course, even that, got better with the announcement of the Neymar signing. What can you say? I mean, it already, there's Neymar mania in Riyadh. People are, lines, queues outside shops to buy his shirt. I expect a massive atmosphere on Saturday when they play their home game against Fayha. If Neymar's playing, or you just expect a massive crowd.
They go head to head with Fayha, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and just expect a big crowd, expecting big television audience. All eyes will be on that match.
It would be a good game as well. Fayha coming off the back of some decent pre-season form and looking good. So it'll be a good test for him. Listen, it's time at this point to bring in one of my favourite segments from a person who knows his stuff. It's time to bring in Khaled Al-Arafah for his weekly dispatch. Over to you, Khaled.
Yes. Hi, Ali. Hi, Peter. How are you guys? Well, everybody's excited, actually. The league just started. I went to watch Al-Shabab and Al-Ukhdud game while Al-Hilal, they were playing, and Al-Nassr, they were playing, but they were out of Riyadh. And as you know, Ali, I live in Riyadh. But to be honest with you, guys, I went there because Al-Shabab's a great team, and just to watch Ever Banega, watching that guy playing is just incredible. Well, the disappointing thing for Al-Shababi's fans that the game was 1-1 draw against Al-Ukhdud. Al-Ukhdud is just a team that came from the first division to the Pro League. So this was kind of surprising. But at the end, it was a nice game. It was a good start for both teams. Well, for this week, all eyes are on Al-Hilal and Al-Fayha game. The presenting Neymar. I think everybody's waiting for that moment. It's going to be on Saturday. There's a strong match as well, Al-Nassr Ta'awun on Friday. But I'm telling you, everybody's just waiting for the moment that Neymar enters King Fahd Stadium. And we'll wait and see. So we're done with the first week. We'll go for the second week, and I think things are getting tougher and tougher.
Great to hear from Khaled, as always. But, Ali, it's that time. It's the final word. And, of course, the final word goes with our Arab News sports editor. So take it away, AK.
Well, Pete, first of all, before we move on to, the final word and maybe a prediction or two, I'd like to mention Newcastle. Your beloved Newcastle. They beat Aston Villa 5-1 on the opening weekend of the Premier League. Long-time listeners will know that you and I used to do a Newcastle podcast. Obviously, massive interest in Saudi Arabia and this part of the world in Newcastle. So we will be keeping an eye on them all for the rest of the season and how they're doing. And they got off to the best possible start, 5-1. They looked excellent. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought they played well, Ali. I think, when you're in the game and you're supporting and watching it, there was a period of the game where you look back with hindsight, of course, and there was a 15-minute period of that game where Aston Villa looked excellent, and I think they'll probably win a lot more than they lose this season. But Newcastle United, with what they have up front now, Ali, and we said it on our Black and White podcast last season, and I fancy Newcastle to score every time they go forward, with given what they've got. And they blew Aston Villa away in the second half. But for a man of the match performance from the Aston Villa goalkeeper, the Argentine World Cup winner, it could have been 8, 9, or even 10. It was a great start, and of course, in true Premier League fashion, Sir Alex Ferguson was asked the night after, just before Manchester United played, did he see the Newcastle game and did he think that they were a threat to the top 4? But of course, Sir Alex said that he thought that Newcastle were extremely lucky and that Aston Villa had played some of the best football that he'd seen that weekend. But anyway.
Very, very, very strange. I will say one thing. You were kind to say that the Aston Villa goalkeeper was man of the match, but I would say also the performances of Tonali and Isaac for Newcastle were excellent and bodes very well for your team.
Absolutely.
But listen, Pete, there's only eyes for one match, and that is Hilal against Fayha. Neymar in Riyadh joining Al-Hilal. I think everybody will be looking forward to that. There's plenty of other great matches, which if you follow us on Arab News, we'll be obviously diving into all of them individually. But I think we all. Looking forward to Hilal's match against Fayha. Absolutely
Get there early. Absolutely incredible. Can't wait for it. Listen, as said, and as Ali said as well, give us a follow on Twitter at Arab News Sport. That is the handle. And drop us a comment as well as this podcast. And as Ali says, there's some fantastic pre-game build-up and post-match analysis from all of the team at Arab News Sport. That's it for episode 2 of Dawri, the Saudi football podcast by Arab News. We'll be back next week. Whoever your team is, good luck.
In the space of a few